Guys, let's not even waste any time. Good evening. Good evening. Let's not even waste any time. For the people that were probably here on the last live, I'm very sorry. I want you to tell me now what you hear in terms of my network. I think there's a Wi-Fi issue here when I'm on a live. So if I am breaking, tell me now so that we know that this live is going to be futile. Because the last live we had was a mess. People complained, I think, a bit later. Then I realized when I was supposed to download and upload it on YouTube, it wasn't making any sense. Clara, I'm not breaking. Okay. Just a few confirmations if I'm not breaking, because I did last time it was supposed to be a YouTube video that people could see later, but they couldn't because I couldn't upload something that doesn't make sense. It was cutting. So if I am cutting right now, you let me know. Loud and clear. Okay. So I'll take that those two confirmations means that we are doing good, loud and clear. Okay. I want us to talk about a sensitive topic very quickly. Russell, thank you so much. And thank you guys for the likes. The topic, let's see, I think there's people here. People are on holiday. Okay. So there's something that a lot of people say each time we talk about a marriage out of community of property. And today I do want to hear your thoughts. It might not be here, but in terms of comments, do express your thoughts. Love it. Oh, thank you. I want you to express your thoughts. The thing a lot of people are uncomfortable with, and I will tell you now, it's a specific gender that tends to be on, this particular opinion that it's not right to be in a marriage out of community of property. Normally they say, it's a matter of people are trying to trick others, or something, or people have sinister intentions. I want us to talk about this. And the reason why I want us to talk about it is because I want you to understand it, and we want to also, or I want to also understand it from your perspective. For example, I always talk about thinking about the type of marriage you're going to enter into when you're going to get married. Forget about the issue of the love aspect. That has been established. Now think about the type of marriage. And often I do lay out reasons why this is important, but I'm going to repeat those today. And I want you to say or tell me if these are justifiable, right? Because I don't want us to dismiss everything without really understanding what the core reasons are, maybe, of where we're coming from, right? Because a lot of people are still making the same mistakes. Guys, if you have never gone through divorce, believe you me, especially when there's assets and when there's kids, it becomes the worst of things that people go through. It's not what people intend to go through when they enter into a marriage, right? But then when it does occur, when people get to that point, it becomes a bit nasty if you did not think about the best type of marriage, right? And it also becomes even worse sometimes when people are in the marriage. I'll make a few examples here. When people sometimes are married in community of property, one of the things we've seen is some people selling assets of a business run by the other party, belonging to the other party, just so that they can get money, right? Uh, the other thing is that the other person would take out whatever debt that they want to take out, and the other one would not have an objection, right? Some people believe in the other party having freedom to do as they wish. But now, one of the biggest issues is this debt this person often will take at times, and where they will not be required to sign anything as the other party will still come back for them. This one person decides to take out whatever debt, now they can't pay for it, then it becomes an issue not only for this one person, but also for the second person who is not part of that debt. Do you get what I'm saying? So, but I don't want us to take it just in the middle here. We'll start from the start. When do you make a decision on the type of marriage? I'll speak from a legal perspective. Make a decision before you enter into the marriage. During that time when you're going to go to counseling, I don't know if you guys still go to counseling, but you know what I know is that you have to go through counseling, and then also consider sitting down with your own practitioner so that you can understand whether this is a good idea or maybe you should get into a different type of marriage. Why do you do this before? The reason why you do it before is because this is going to determine whether or not you guys are in agreement with this type of marriage. And it's going to make things a bit easier when you're in the marriage, unlike you not making or thinking about this and just getting married and then people fighting about this issue when they are already in the marriage. You get an opportunity to see what the other person is thinking about a certain type of marriage, and then you guys can come up with a decision, and then you make that decision, right? And for some people, this is a make or break. Now, what's the benefit of you doing it prior? The benefit is this: there's not going to be complications later on. If you say, no, we'll take care of it in the marriage, first thing I'm thinking about is, are you going to be in agreement when you're in the marriage? Majority of the time, I see a lot of people say, in fact, one person say, we had an idea that we're going to enter into this type of marriage, but we decided to marry. Then we're now thinking, you know, we said we're going to change it. So now I am here to try and change it. This person is one, right? When they got married, they were two. But now they're coming as one, saying we want to change. I'm like, where is the other party? Hey, that's a mystery. Why is it a mystery? It is a mystery now because that one has changed their mind. They have decided otherwise. You see now where the issue is? If you delay it, they are not, you guys are not now meeting in terms of how you're thinking. Your minds are not in the same thing. Problem number one, because this has to be a joint thing. It affects the both of you. So I can't sit down with someone, one person, and then draft something. We need the other person. Problem number one. Number two, when people say we'll take care of it they don't know the cost implications of saying we'll do it later. When you say we'll do it later, let's say you guys now agree you're doing it later. You've married, you want to change. First things first. Thank you, B. What's going to happen is that obviously we'll have to draft that contract. You guys are in agreement. No problem. But now the other issue is the fact that now this is not a matter of we take the contract, we just submit it. No, you're now married. So now the court also has to confirm this. So which means this is now a court matter. You see, there's an additional issue, which means additional costs. If you now send me to go and do an application in the courts, I'm going to charge you more. And you know, if you've dealt with court proceedings, applications cost anything from 15,000 Rand. So you see, in terms of cost implications, now it's hitting you. That's when people then reverse and say, there's nothing we can do, because they don't even have that amount of money. And then the third issue, when you say we'll take care of it in the marriage now, is the fact that you now have creditors. You probably have a car that you owe. Probably one of you or both of you have a bond you're paying for. Now, that means those people that the both of you owe must also now be in agreement with this change. Remember, if you are married, right, and you owe a debt, a creditor will sometimes be happy when you're married, because they know, especially when a spouse has properties and they're okay, because they know that if you can't satisfy a debt, your spouse is there. So it's like automatically you have someone as a surety because you're married. So now when you're starting to change, or you want to change this marriage, for some creditors, they're going to be very concerned, because there might be a risk here. We're losing that person who we, in a sense, consider a surety. Do you get what I'm saying? Because if now I can't pay, my husband is working, he's okay, he's got properties, whatever my husband has is equal to me having something. So they know that, okay, they can go after him. But now if we're saying, let's separate, now for them, they have to start thinking, is this a good idea for us as creditors? Where is this going to place us? And if they feel that this is going to risk, or it's going to be risky on their part, you can expect that they will be in court to oppose your application. See, before you were married, they couldn't do that. But now, because you're already married and you want to change, potentially they can come and say, we do not agree on the basis of 1, on the basis of 2, on the basis of 3. And who is this decision now going to lie with? It is the court, which means it's out of your hands, right? So, and you know, when a decision is in the hands of the court, you don't really have control there, but you had control before. Do you see why it's important to have this discussion before, decide before? And remember, guys, you are not necessarily a bad person for wanting to have this discussion. And I always make an example in this regard about business owners. Business owners are the most riskiest people that you can marry. And on that note, I know, because I also run a business, I'm the riskiest person anybody could marry. Because in my business, I can conduct myself the way that I want to. First things first. No, I don't need permission from my spouse. I will go take out a loan in the name of my business. I will do what I want to do in the name of my business. And I will stand individually as surety for my business. My spouse is not involved. Now, how does this become a negative? It becomes a negative because now when I fall, my business fails, my spouse is in trouble. Now, things are falling apart for me as a business owner. My business is going down, and we know businesses change all the time. Now, in addition to me losing and this business going down, now you as the other party will start to lose. And it becomes even worse when you are married to someone who is not working. Some people are stay-at-home, wives. The husbands are the ones working. The business is lucrative, so the wife doesn't have to work. So you can imagine in that instance when a business falls apart and they come for everything in the business and it's still not enough. Now they have to come for you on a personal basis, which means that they're also coming for everything you own, which includes the house you live in, everything that is in both your names. Do you see the risk carried by business owners? And do you see this risk that then comes with this marriage in community of property? Some people think that it's a matter of, this one is trying to be clever. Not to say that some people will not try these tricks to be clever, but sometimes it's not about being clever, but it's about thinking about what's the best way here to ensure that if one of us falls apart, at least the other one can stand firm and be able to say, I can carry the burden of this family. That's why if you look at a lot of business owners who are married, when things fall apart, one of the things you'll notice is that not only does the business fall apart, the family, everything falls apart. And often people think that maybe it's because people were excessive or they didn't handle things well. It's how it comes back, right? It becomes risky. And another thing that makes it even worse is that a lot of business owners don't protect their assets. Guys, if you have a very lucrative business, even tomorrow it can fail. It's not your fault. It's how business works. Something is relevant today, tomorrow it's irrelevant. Now, a lot of business owners, one of the things you'll find is that they don't separate their assets from themselves. As a business owner, you are a very risky person. So one of the first things you want to think about is separating assets from you. I know it's not maybe the easiest thing to do, to give your spouse everything and then have a separate marriage. Why not think about setting up a trust and lock inside your properties there? Then you can behave anyhow. Because you are very risky. And one of the things you'll note about business owners, again, is that they will have a very lucrative business and conduct and do everything in this one business. And they will never have what we call another business we can call a holding company, where some of the money can be sent as a dividend to this holding company so that the business owner can be, saved in certain situations. I don't want us to go far, but I was just making an example about business owners, right? And the risk that they carry attached to the type of marriage that they are in. So these are things that you need to think about before. It's not even something I don't even get shocked anymore. I often get approached by people who were married in the previous year who want to divorce this year. Previous year, they want to divorce this year. And, as much as I'm not a psychologist or whatever, you sometimes wonder, how does that happen? But it happens. So you also need to think about those types of things. And also, think about the type of marriage. Because why? Because some people have sinister intentions. You have to. Some people have sinister intentions. Somebody said, and this was not the first person to say this to me, that I will definitely get married, one of the things that I will do is to look for someone who's already working. And one of the things that I'm going to do is to look at whether they have a pension. And I'm going to marry them. I'm going to pay lobola for them, right? And in addition, I'm going to take out a loan and I'm going to divorce them. And I know that they're going to be equally responsible for the loan and also that pension will come out. You should have come across this. That's how some people are thinking. Not to say everybody's thinking this way, but if you look at the comment sections when we talk about issues of marriage and the types of marriage, you will find people who are saying this, and they're not lying. They are not lying. So that's also another reason for you to think about and consider a type of marriage that is going to be suitable for you, especially if you have children, especially if you have kids. Think about this kind of marriage, right? And also, it's important for you to consider a type of marriage because we have parents that are refusing to draft wills. How does this relate to a marriage? So what's happening is that I don't know about other people, but I have come across a lot of black people who have parents that refuse to draft wills. They say that, I don't want to be confused, or whatever the case is, everybody's just going to inherit. Now, what's the issue with this? You do know that when you are married in community of property, if you inherit a share from anybody, automatically your share is also part of the marriage. And parents don't want to be convinced about drafting wills. I don't know what's happening. I once talked to someone who said, listen, I wish you could talk to my mother. I don't understand. She doesn't want to listen. And I said to her, maybe send her the video we're talking about. Maybe she'll get, the sense of what we were saying when they were saying that they must draft the will. But a lot of black parents refuse to draft wills because they think that maybe this is a way of maybe one of the kids confusing them or whatever the case is, but they don't want to. So now automatically a lot of people are inheriting properties with their spouses because they are already married in community of property. Would it be different, thank you Teko, if you were married out of community of property? Yes, because when you are married out of community of property, everything you have, everything you get, everything you inherit is yours. It does not form part of the marriage. So if there's a family house that you and your siblings are inheriting, your share is safe, right? You are safe, you don't have to argue. This doesn't have to be considered when maybe, it gets to a point of divorce because everything is in your name. There was a case that I once spoke about here, was a while ago. In this particular case, someone called me wanting some advice, right? Set up a meeting, did a telephonic discussion. They were asking advice on behalf of a friend. Now, what happened was the friend was married. The friend happened to be, I think, one of two siblings, but the brother had passed away long ago. So now she was like an oldie child, right? It happened that they had some, miscommunication with the husband. She then went to go home to take care of her mother. Mother was close, to passing away, and she eventually did. I'm not sure where the spouse or the husband heard this from, but as soon as the mother passed, funeral passed, the husband was there saying that, dude, we need to sell the house here. I need the money. I need half, or I need the money because, you can see the situation. I think it's going to help me, to do 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. Now, the wife was saying, you're really crazy because this was my mother. I inherited this. Where do we enter? But the guy he got advice somewhere, I don't know where, but he was so adamant. He said, listen, if you don't sell this house, we're going for divorce, and I'm going to talk about the fact that you have this house and it will be considered. You hear what I'm saying? This is the property of the wife's mother. But now, because the wife's mother had only one child surviving her, now this is going to this person. This person, unfortunately, is married. Now the spouse is saying, Tengisa fetu, because I want also half. So they were going back and forth about this. Then this friend called to ask, what is the situation? And I was like, automatically, in terms of the law, he's also part owner of the house. I know he was not part of that family, but ngomthetho, he's also part owner. Big problem. Because manje kumele ukuthi kuliwe. And I think the worst thing, Shem, I felt for the lady because you get what I'm saying? You are now fighting for your own family house, your mother's house, because of a type of marriage. Ulweligini phela ukuthi hayibo this lo muntu lo utofuna half so that they can do whatever. So it's things like that you also need to think about. Ukuthi abazali bethu are sabotaging us, and most people are married in community of property. So manje the only thing esingayenza ukuthi for other people who are about to make a decision to think about it clearly. Abanye don't mind, it's fine, I can share it with my spouse, none. But others do mind, just like this lady I'm talking about. Because it's her family house. Now, because who? Because this one wants money. And a lot of houses have also been sold in that regard, where you'd find the spouse is getting pressure from the other spouse saying that let's sell this house, tell those siblings of yours they must sell this house. And if they can't buy a person out, obviously they will have to try and sell this house because law can it, and they are entitled to imaliab. So these are just some of the things that you need to think about. Some people just look at it from one perspective. This thing is just a matter of but it can also be an issue for you as well. Think about it from your perspective. Your mother has passed away. Now you have to inherit. Now the court says that also your spouse is entitled to it. How would you think or feel about that? You know what I'm saying? So hence, think about a type of marriage and then make a decision consciously. Was wuti wenzani? Like I said, I meet people who were married a year before. No, in fact, what am I talking about? Kunabatu that we meet who were married 2-3 months ago. They want to divorce. And sometimes abantu bacabanga ukuthi if the period was short, ama entitlements angeke asebenze, you can't share equally. Guys, there's no such thing. If everything was in accordance, nothing was unlawful, your kinto happened correctly, unfortunately, whether it's 3 months or you're going to split in 6 months, the other person will always be entitled. You get what I'm saying? So ingakho ngithi, think about it clearly. Because when it gets to that position, it then will it will frustrate you. So yeah, what else was I thinking about? There's a lot of comments, so I'll go up and see the comments. Also ngakhohlwa ukuthi you have to also consider the issue of debt. Remember, before you married a person, because they had their own debts, they had their own life. Mangenwa nje, enter. As soon as you enter, it says equal. You can be held liable. Angeke uzukhona ukuthi, this one was taken before we were married, so mina anikwazi nje ukuthi nize kimi. Unfortunately, not. That's not going to be a defense. And you just have a view of what your spouse is the kind of situation they are in financially, so that you can assess also. This should also influence your decision. Because mangenwa, remember, let's say lo muntu lo ungena with a lot of debt, right? For whatever reason. And you are doing okay, the creditors are going to be thrilled. Now there's another person in the picture. So mabe collector from this person, they're going to be thrilled because kunomunye umuntu okhona la. Kunomunye umuntu okhona, new wife or new husband. So awungeke uzuthi kubo mina ngena kuphi in umshado in community of property uthi si share yonke into. We share the debts, we share the assets, we share everything nje that. So angeke uzukhona ukuthi mina ngena kuphi, uyangena inside, ne? So that's also something you need to think about. Abanye abantu, for example, got married and they were so frustrated as soon as they were married because what happened was mhlambe umuntu ebecabanga ukuthi uzothenga indlu as soon as they get married. Fine. So manje make ushada nomuntu one credit score messed up, on a history listen embi kabi. So you know at the bank mabezokunikeza ke right now i-loan yendlu, kumele ukuthi the other spouse also must come. So mayifika nje bem-assessa nje, this one. Those things have negative consequences for the other spouse. Thola ukuthi umuntu frustrated now because of such things. So i-point engizama ukuyenza ukuthi you must look at things holistically. And you must not be thinking about just one aspect. You must think about all of these things that I'm talking about. And then you make a decision for each of you, right? Because if you just enter and say, for instance, there's something that a lot of people have to say, these Western laws, they shouldn't be in our marriage. Guys, ngumthetho angeke ushintshe. Right now, umthetho usho kanjalo ukuthi this is how things work. So, and ukunikeza ama options so that wena you don't be affected. So instead of you complaining ukuthi lo umthetho ongekho right, noba labantu laba bayenze lo mthetho bayahlanya nani. Instead of you doing that, look at the options you have available. Because one thing is that a lot of the times you don't exercise the options available to you. Ingakho uzozwa umuntu bayidivorce athi lo mthetho lo ayawukho right. Bekumele ukuthi uhlale lapha very far from us. Mamela, if awufuni ama issues, thank you Lolly, you would rather look at the alternatives and see if you can make use of them. Because mawuzo complain ngomthetho that is in place, let me tell you, you're wasting your time because we are governed by what is there, right? And there are options. I always say to you, there are options, there are options, there are options. There's so many ways or so many things to consider that can help you, right? So just think from that perspective. Be open-minded. Yabona umuntu once athi hayi this western what uzokufaka enkingeni, because now uzocabanga ukuthi what the way in which they're looking at things is it's not. What are the other alternatives? How are they going to help me and the other person? That's what's going to help you. Or to tell me, people must keep the things they came with and write down what we're going to sell. Can't lose everything. That's also an option. Guys, it's up to you. There's options. What I'm trying to say is that there's options and there's things that should influence the options that you take up. Ungangeni nje and then complain later ukuthi yabona lo mthetho uyahlanyana nani, because it's not going to change umthetho at that time. Instead it's going to affect you negatively because akunalutho ongalenza. Umthetho uthi kumele ukuthi izinto zihambe kanje, angeke uzushintshe ngalesa sikhathi, right? I'm just going to look at a few comments or questions. Hey Humi, how are you, man? Irrelevant comment. Utuhumi, counseling must include type of marriage and also what? The applicable regime. The problem with Humi, it depends on, listen, counseling is a different thing. I wouldn't expect to, let's say, a therapist be able to take people through the different types of marriage. So it's up to the people that are getting married. Make it something that is going to be a norm. Once we make this a norm, it's going to help. Make it a norm that you're going to meet with whoever's going to counsel you for the marriage, which means this is a social aspect thing. And then you speak to someone who's going to look at the legal aspect so that you can make a decision for yourself. I always say people mustn't miss out on this. But what I've seen is that sometimes, not all the time, ne? I've spoken to a lot of people who are about to get married. They don't want to wait. Abafuna ukuzwa anything negative. Or abafuni anything that's going to make this marriage not come to fruition. As a result, if ukhuluma ngento that's going to invoke, a discussion that might cause a stir with the other partner, uvelathi umuntu will revisit it later. That's where the problem lies. Athi umuntu ngithi imakancane ne, you can get married. Athi no, we want a marriage out, but lo muntu engizoshada naye ufuna ukuthi sishade khona manje. I'm like, for the contract to be, be there, and for you to be married out of community of property, it's going to take literally a few days. Linda kancane, umuntu angeke akakhona. Then they have regrets later. So that's why I told ukuthi no one wants to really go to a proper counseling session and a proper legal session where they're going to get the proper advice that they need so that they can make a decision. Because when they are there, they don't want anything that's going to disrupt lo mshado lo. Kumele ukuthi wenzeke. That's when people make mistakes. So, yeah. What's strange? Yeah? Manifesto. What is T-Pain? It's a good thing that you're gaining. Valelada Mandwed, what's going on? Yeah, Usebelicious. Unfortunately, a lot of our black parents, shame, and the reason why I say black parents is because those are the only ones that I often come across and hear about. I don't know why, but it's difficult for our parents to have a change of mind, have a change of heart. Mauti, please do a will. Athi umuntu hayi unga-confuse ini wonke umuntu uzothola something la, but they don't understand where we're coming from. Mawuzama uku-explainela ukuthi the reason why athi hayi so which means that sonke sisenkingeni nje because it's unfortunate. People who have parents who are open-minded are much more luckier because they understand. Akuthi umuntu makashintshi ukuthi who's going to inherit. No. Ukuthi nje if you write it down, it's going to exclude a marriage, of any person who's inheriting. I have a phone. So, which means, guys, you are on your own. The people that are married and who are getting married, you are on your own. You'll have the problems, you'll have to solve them on your own. Because abazali nje abazingeni shem. Thank you, Lolly. Abazali abazingeni, and I don't know. If the will excluded the marriage, of course, about the TP luxury shuttle, if the will excludes or excluded the inheritance from any type of marriage, will that work? Yes. That's exactly what I'm saying. Ukuthi abazali don't want anything written down because mayibhalwe phansi, it's easy then to say it will not form part of the marriage. But if ayibhalwa ngaphansi, unfortunately, automatically ingena emshadweni. So that's what they don't understand. So a will is very important, guys. Even for you as a parent, it's very pivotal. Ungashintshe izinto because it will does a lot for your own kids. Women love this incommunity of property thing. Okay, if an individual gets into debt and inherits a portion, of the family home, can creditors collect? Of course, now. Of course. Angithi you have an interest in the family home, whether it's 20%, 50%, of course. Some men too, especially those without assets. Guys, enye into lena ne, the inheritance part, the maintenance part. You see, when you're married in community of property, let's say you have an extramarital child, and you're married to the other person. So what tends to happen is that if kuna maintenance order, we are collected from you, right? As the person who is the mother or father, in maintenance collected from you. As a team manager, you lose a job, you can't pay their maintenance. Yes, it becomes a debt. If you have maintenance, accumulate, becomes a debt, a form of debt. So we have to debt your spouse is affected. So when you have this extramarital kid that you can't maintain anymore, it's going to shift to the wife or the other spouse. shift, because they are also part of your debt. So that's how another spouse will end up paying for maintenance yengane of the other one, because of that, debt kind of situation. So, those are also some things that you have to think about. If things go south for me and my spouse is doing well, potentially, if I have extramarital kids, my spouse will have to suffer those consequences. And I think I've met a lot of people who have been frustrated, especially laba bana bantwana who were made during the marriage, through extramarital affairs. Thola ukuthi umuntu akekho right nje because le ngane bayithole bela emshadweni. Now lo muntu ohambe wayokwenza le ngane akasebenzi nokusebenza, right? Now this one has to end up paying le maintenance yakhona because of umntwana abamenze during the, hey guys, sometimes nje singakhulumela phansi about marriage in community of property. It does come with a lot of negatives, I won't lie to you. So that's why I need to think about it carefully. It doesn't necessarily mean that you probably are there for sinister intentions or awuhlelanga noma, but it's you thinking about the future possible consequences and trying to shield yourself and your family and probably your spouse from such things, right? Because they tend to affect the marriage negatively. Abanye abantu, once they see ukuthi now they are a victim of creditors, bafuna ukuphuma lapha emshadweni. Yabo? Because now they see ukuthi hayi ngihleli la for uba victim of the debt of this one. Abanye abantu, when they see ukuthi they are becoming, responsible for extramarital kids, again, you'd find ukuthi athi umuntu hey mina ngiyaphuma la because manje ngiyi-victim of raising kids of my spouse. So they also don't affect a marriage positively. So ingakho ngithi, think about it clearly. Have a vision for yourself. I've seen a lot of people who have made this decision and uthola ukuthi bayazwana about the decision. They understand why they are doing it and uthola ukuthi banamaplan ukuthi how they're going to accumulate certain properties, but ezinye izinto nje will be separate, none. So don't think about it from a very negative perspective. It can also be good for your marriage as well. So uthi people must keep what they came with and write down what we're gonna sell. We can't lose everything. Yeah, makes sense. See, Cliff, yeah, but I always say that I arguing about the development of marital laws, sometimes don't let that push you to make a decision, because if you look at it from that perspective, it will not be for your benefit. Imithetho eminingi, I'm sure a lot of people don't agree with, but it's not going to change the fact that umthetho. Yeah, well, how can you play on the safe side of umthetho law currently is in place? Right? Probably there are people trying to change it somewhere, somehow, but angeke ziyenzeke overnight. So in the meantime, how can you be on the good side of things just to avoid some of these negative consequences? That's how you should be thinking. Otherwise, if you think ukuthi lomthetho uyahlanya nani and you don't do anything to protect yourself, most instances uzozibona sewusenkingeni, and you'll find yourself in that situation. And umthetho abe emile ethi this is what must happen, and you'll be powerless. You'll be very, very powerless. Sequestration. Shoni, if you can't be sequestrated alone, ushadile. Both of you are sequestrated. Makuthiwa mina I am over indebted. It means also you as my spouse are over indebted. When you're married in community of property, that's what it means, guys. Usho ukuthi ngishona phansi ushona phansi wena qala. Mabethi bayathengisa anything, they are selling our property. Yabo? So nje marriage in means one. It's not about one person. It means mina nawe. We are being affected by whatever is going on. Okay. You are mina Humi. Next time, hey, ama comments are verbal. Anokuthatha isikhathi mina ngifuna ukuhamba manje ngingakhona ukuhamba because next time. Okay, thank you. As a parent, what do I do to prevent my assets being part of my daughter's marriage? What you're going to do, you're going to write a will. You're going to draft a will. Use the 257. You're going to draft a will. Umuntu who is drafting your will knows the clause they must include to exclude your assets from your daughter's marriage. If agazi hamba lapho, if uya umuntu ongazi ukuthi iphle clause kumele ukuthi ayifake so that your assets do not form part of your daughter's marriage, ungahlali lapho hamba because uzokusabotage. There's a specific clause that is put in the will to ensure that the assets will not form part. Even if the husband can try, it will not work if it's excluded in terms of the will. Yabo? Cliff, I don't know about that one. Let me. Yeah, in community of property just has a lot of things that comes with. So kumele ukuthi nje ube ready mentally if uyangena. It's still an option. If ufuna ngena when I'm married, I mean in community of property, it's an option for you. But wazi ukuthi ready mentally for that type of marriage, because it will have a lot of things that are attached to it. No one can change. I'm not sure. Is it Nombobe or Nombobe? Sorry, I'm not sure if I'm correct. I mean, pronouncing it correctly. So you're saying, I'm not sure if you're asking or this is a statement. No one can change the status. Oh, can one? Okay. Yes. Nombobe, I think. Not sure if, yeah. You can change the status of a marriage from in to out of community of property. If you got in here a bit late, you may have missed the explanation that I provided here. The process is a bit different. Mao converter from from in to out of community of property. Yeah, well. So, but guys, what I'll do, I'll take this live, I'll download it, ngizoyifaka lapha ku YouTube. If angikhathanga the whole thing was okay, ngizoyifaka lapha so that you guys can revisit the live itself. It will doesn't have to be endorsed in a court, and it's not even an agreement between anybody. It's a document, it's an instruction, a document that you write personally. It's got nothing to do with anybody else. A will. Court ayingeni nokungena. Yo, guys, my phone is flat. It's in hand, guys. Like I said, ngizoyithatha ne this live. I'm sure before 1 o'clock this morning, 1 a.m. Ngizobe ngi-uploadile lapha so that if you want to check whatever it is that you missed when we started the discussion, you can see what we were talking about. My phone is counting me down 30 seconds. So